another edition of Cooking in the Kitchen with Renee. And before we get started, and before I tell you exactly what we'll be cooking today, I want to show you something that one of my wonderful subscribers sent me. You want to see it? You can see a little bit of it, but check this out. Look, it's an apron that Lily from Angel Love Gardening sent me. Isn't that beautiful? And yes, you know, I am definitely going to be wearing this in the kitchen when I do my cooking videos. You will see it occasionally when I am in this kitchen throwing down. So I want to say thank you, Lily, for sending me this wonderful apron. And I am going to cherish it forever and ever. All right, let's get back to cooking. All right, guys, so what we're going to be preparing today is we're going to be making some Italian style pork chops. And that is another one of my family's favorite recipes. And what I'm doing now is I'm tying this beautiful apron on so it will not get in the way of me sharing this wonderful recipe with you guys. So let me show you exactly everything you will need to prepare this dish for your family. All right, are you ready? Okay, here we go. So you are going to need a bowl to beat up your eggs. You're going to need some Italian style breadcrumbs. You're going to need some cooking spray. You're going to need some black pepper. You're going to need some milk. You're also going to need the star of the show, which is our pork chops. You're going to need a wonderful Pyrex dish. And that is basically all you'll need in order to prepare this dish. So the first thing, oh, and I forgot to tell you, you're also going to need a Ziploc bag that I've also combined. I put the Italian breadcrumb inside of this Ziploc bag. All right, so we can coat our pork chops and they will be good. All right, so let's get to mixing this stuff up. So the first thing you need to do is that I usually use 2 eggs. So I am just going to crack 2 eggs and put them in this bowl. Save our eggshells for our garden, because we try to use whatever we can to put in our garden. And then I'm going to add maybe less than a cup of milk into our bowl, and I always put a little bit of pepper in there. And then we're just going to beat this up, because this is going to be our sticking agent. So when we dip our pork chops into this milk and egg mixture, it will be able to bond itself to the Italian breadcrumbs. And that's all you do, is just mix it up like that. All right, set that aside. And then we're going to start dressing these pork chops. All right, so let me move you so you can see exactly what I am doing. All right, let me move you up a little closer so you can see what I'm seeing. So what I do is I have washed and patted dry these pork chops. Look how good those pork chops look. And let me tell you a story, because you know I always got a story when I'm preparing a meal in the kitchen. Well, my mother would always tell me, Renee, when you are cleaning these pork chops, don't forget, look in this crevice. And I was like, what are you talking about, Mom? She would always say that on a pork chop, it has this middle section right here. You see this right here? And she says, take your finger and go in that hole and get all that stuff that we do not need in that pork chop. So I would, as soon as I washed my pork chops, I would stick my little finger in that little groove right here and see how you can push stuff out. If you don't do it, it's like, she goes, that's the part that holds all the stuff that we don't want. So get that finger in there and clean out that little groove right there. So now see, the groove is all nice and clean. So thought I would just give you that little tip, because I'm telling you, whenever I worked in the kitchen with my mother, it was always an interesting adventure with her. All right, so this is how I prepare my pork chops. So I take some black pepper and I just sprinkle it on both sides. Make sure they got a little seasoning on both sides of these pork chops. And I got these pork chops from Walmart. And then what you do next is that you take your egg mixture, you take your pork chops, and you just dunk them in there. Make sure the bone, because I love a pork chop with a good bone in it. And you just soak them, coat it real good. Then you take that bag that has the breadcrumbs in there, and you just drop it on in there. And then we do another pork chop. I usually do like 2 pork chops at a time. And I drop it in there. Zip that bag up. And we're going to do a little shaky shaky. We're going to take this bag and we're going to shake it. Shake it. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Shake it, shake it. Make sure all the pork chops are nicely coated, because we want all that Italian size breadcrumbs to coat those pork chops. That is where all that wonderful and that fantastic flavor comes from. Okay. And once you have done that, you're going to get your Pyrex dish, which I have here. And then we're going to get our spray. And we are going to spray our Pyrex dish all on the sides and on the bottom. We want to make sure that that bread coating doesn't come off when it's cooking in the oven. Yep, this bad boy is going in the oven. So then you take your pork chops out of your bag. You give them a little shaky and see how that pork chop is well coated on both sides. And we're just going to lay that bad boy right on in that pan. And then we're going to get the next one that we put the coating on. See how nice that coating is on there? And we're just going to lay that in the pan. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle when you're putting these pork chops in here, because some will be big and some will be small. And if you see that you have a spot on your pork chop that you did not cover, just take some breadcrumbs out of the bag and then just lightly just cover up that spot. But I think I did a good job on covering these pork chops. These bad boys are going to look good. So I'm going to finish peppering them up, seasoning them up, and then I'll come back when it's all in our Pyrex dish, and then I'll let you know what's happening next. Guys, I have them all in my Pyrex dish, and I am going to add a little bit more pepper, because you know Miss Renee loves some pepper. Put that on the top, and to give it a nice little smoky flavor and a nice little kick. I don't know if you guys have ever tried this smoked paprika, but if you haven't, this is one spice you do not want to be sleeping on. So I'm going to put some of this smoked paprika to give it that smoky flavor to it. And it also gives it a nice little color too. Can't go wrong with this. Oh yeah. And then when I flip it over, then I'll put some of this paprika and smoke. Smells so good. Put this on there. Alright, and then we're going to take this over to the oven, and I've already preheated it to 400 degrees. So let's go over to the oven. All right, it is in the oven, and I'll come back when the pork chops are ready. Guys, I have just taken the pork chops out of the oven, and I want to show you exactly what they look like. Are you ready? You're gonna love this recipe. Check them out. Don't those pork chops look fabulous? They are piping hot. Look at that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna flip them over, and they look so good. Ooh, they're hot and they are ready, baby. Look at that golden brown, delicious. Gotta be careful because these pork chops ain't playing. They're saying, I am hot, Renee. Nice. Look at that. Let me show you. Give you an up close look at one of these pork chops. Look at that pork chop. Isn't that beautiful? All golden brown and crispy. And what I like to do is I like to take a knife and I like to make sure that my pork chops are cooked all the way. They don't have any pink in there. They look fabulous, fabulous. So let me show you exactly what Miss Renee is going to do next. I usually get a nice little container that I like to put my pork chops in to make a nice presentation on the table. And so they look all nice and beautiful. And you're asking me, well, what are you going to put with your pork chops? Well, I decided that I am going to have some sweet potatoes, and I'm going to have some green beans, and I'm also going to have some corn. I think that'll be a nice, healthy dinner. Look at that. Look at them pork chops right there. Tell me you don't want to sink your teeth into these pork chops. Amazing. So I like to put a cover on them so they can sweat and they can get all nice and soft. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and I want to show you guys something special. Let me move this out of the way. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me bring you up closer. I decided what I'm going to have for my sides is I'm going to have some sweet potatoes. And check this out. These are sweet potatoes that I harvest out of my garden last growing season. And this is how I've been keeping them, storing them properly. I have been keeping them inside this box, and I have wrapped them up in this newspaper to keep them all nice and cozy until Miss Renee is ready to use it. But let me show you the sweet potatoes. These are my sweet potatoes. Look, I grew these sweet potatoes in my garden. So this is what we're going to have with our pork chops today. We're going to have sweet potatoes that I grew out of my garden, and we are still eating things that Miss Renee has grown from her garden. Isn't that fabulous? So that's why it's important to get out there and grow your own food, because when the stores don't have sweet potatoes, what? You can say, I got my own sweet potatoes right here. So if you've been thinking about going out there and get your garden going, this is a prime example of why you need to have your own garden and start growing your own food. All right, guys, I will get all my meal prepped, get a nice presentation, and then I'll come back and I'll show you exactly what Miss Renee's Italian pork chops looks like with all of her sides. All right, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video as much as I have enjoyed coming to you and cooking from you in Miss Renee's kitchen. Stay tuned for the best part of the whole video. Guys, I just wanted to show you what the final product looked like. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you would try this Italian seasoning pork chops, because it is amazing dinner. And look at that potato. Homegrown sweet potato, green beans with my homegrown and made seasoning, my lunchbox pepper seasoning, and I have some delicious smoked paprika corn, and of course the star attraction is that Italian seasoned pork chop. Good. Look how crispy and everything, how it looks. So take it from me, you're going to want to try this recipe, and your family is going to say, ooh, Mom, that recipe was so good. All right, and I also want to give another shout out to Angel Loves Garden, Lily, for sending me that wonderful apron. I love it. And if you have not checked out Angel Loves Garden, get on over there and see what wonderful things Lily is doing in her garden. All right, you guys, and don't forget to tell her that Renee's Garden sent you her way. All right, guys, have a wonderful day, have a blessed day, and Miss Renee will see you in the next video. Look at that. My butter on my sweet potato is melted. It is saying, Renee, come on. Let's get our eat on. All right, guys, take care.